One small habit, enough to change your entire life overnight. Have you ever believed you were doing something good for your health, only to find out it was quietly pushing you closer to a stroke? Picture this, a morning, just like any other. You're sitting by the window, reading a book to your grandchild. A warm cup of tea sits untouched on the table. Everything feels peaceful until you realize your left hand won't move. Your vision fathers. You try to speak, but the words won't come out, and suddenly the world goes silent, like someone just hit the mute button on your life. I'm a doctor, specializing in brain health, and what haunts me most isn't the patients we couldn't save in time. It's patients like Mr. James, 82 years old, no smoking, no alcohol, healthy diet, a brisk walk every morning, and yet he suffered a massive stroke in his sleep. Not because of bad luck, not because of some huge mistake, but because of a glass of water before bed. A glass of water with just 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Sounds strange? Right. Something so common. Something you keep in the kitchen to bake cookies, being linked to stroke. But this isn't rare. In recent years, I've seen more and more older adults, even those living healthy, mindful lives, suddenly fall into danger because of one habit they believed was good for digestion, or helps balance pH, or natural, so it must be safe. But the aging body isn't the same. Every small change, every pinch of salt, every tablet, every so-called alkaline remedy can be the drop that overflows the glass. And if you're over 60, you might already be next in line without even realizing it. In the next section, I'll show you what really happens inside your body when you drink baking soda. Things no one ever told you, but that could change the course of your future. I understand why so many older adults turn to baking soda. It's not a drug. It doesn't taste bitter. It's not some complicated chemical. It's right there in the kitchen next to the sugar jar or the salt shaker. Your mother probably used it for baking. Maybe your grandfather mixed it in water after a heavy meal to relieve bloating. Just a small spoon in a glass of water. It feels simple, natural, even safe, and thrifty. Many of my patients like Mr. James, Miss Clara, or Mr. Franklin all started with the same harmless thought. It's just a little baking soda. What could go wrong? I feel lighter. My heart burns better. And it's true at first. It can help. Baking soda neutralizes stomach acid, which can ease symptoms of reflux. You'll even find it listed in old remedies for upset stomach, body detox, or even internal cleansing. But here's what almost no one talks about. Just 1 small teaspoon of baking soda contains over 200 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half the entire daily sodium limit for someone over 60. And this is where the real danger lies. As we age, the body doesn't handle things the same way it used to. The kidneys, our body's salt filters, begin to slow down with time. When sodium isn't flushed out efficiently, it doesn't just raise blood pressure, it thickens the blood, it stiffens the arteries, it increases pressure on the brain, drop by drop. There's no immediate symptom, no warning bell, just one small habit, repeated night after night, quietly turning your body into a pressure cooker, until one night, while you're asleep, a tiny blood vessel in your brain bursts, and you don't even know it happened. That's exactly what happened to Mr. James. He didn't abuse anything, just half a teaspoon in warm water before bed every night, unaware that he was slowly raising his blood sodium levels little by little every single day. So if you're currently using baking soda, ask yourself, are you truly supporting your body or silently pushing it to its limit? There's something many people overlook. Our bodies don't just run on blood and muscle, they run on bioelectricity. Your brain sends signals like radio waves. Your heart beats in response to ion currents. Every movement, your hands, your legs, is guided by tiny electrical impulses traveling along nerves. But for those signals to travel correctly, your body needs a careful balance of electrolytes. Sodium, potassium, bicarbonate, magnesium. Just a small shift, even slight, and the entire system can fall into disarray. And that's exactly what baking soda can trigger. When you drink it, you're not just neutralizing stomach acid. You're silently changing the pH level of your blood. In medicine, we call this metabolic alkalosis, a state where your body becomes too alkaline, disrupting the delicate balance of your electrolytes. It might sound technical, but the consequences are very real. I once treated a patient, Miss Clara, 79 years old, a retired elementary school teacher, graceful, kind, lived a clean, peaceful life, each morning, yoga and herbal tea. But after hearing a tip from friends, she started taking baking soda every evening to relieve bloating. 2 months later, she began to feel lightheaded whenever she stood up. Then came the small muscle twitches, like tiny jolts of electricity in her limbs. One day, while grocery shopping, she collapsed. Her eyes rolled back. She convulsed for 20 seconds. We got to her in time, but her blood work revealed dangerously high alkalinity and critically low potassium. This threw her body's communication system into chaos, as if her nerves were speaking on scrambled frequencies. Her brain, heart, and muscles could no longer sync through tears. She told me, "I thought I was doing something gentle for my body. I just didn't want to rely on pills." That's the danger. For older adults, things like dizziness, unsteady walking, or sudden fatigue aren't always just signs of aging. They're sometimes the silent effects of a chemical imbalance caused not by illness, but by a well-meaning habit, repeated day after day, So if you often feel off balance, weak, or tired for no clear reason, don't just blame it on getting older. Look again at the tiny things you're putting into your body. If the brain is the command center, the kidneys are the silent guardians working day and night to filter the blood, remove excess salt, regulate blood pressure, and keep your body in balance. But as we age, these guardians grow tired. Kidney cells weaken, responses slow, and their endurance fades. And if, day after day, you silently add more sodium through baking soda, it's like piling stones on the back of an old camel. Eventually, it breaks. I once had a patient just like that. His name was Walter Green, 84 years old, a Korean War veteran. Despite his age, he tried to stay sharp. Morning Tai Chi, low sodium meals, and a firm belief, no meds unless absolutely necessary. But he had mild gout. So after reading advice online, he started drinking baking soda mixed in water twice a day to alkalize his blood and flush out toxins. When he came into the clinic, he didn't complain of sharp pain, just a lingering fatigue, slight swelling in his legs, and moments of foggy memory forgetting appointments. Unsure if he'd eaten yet. His family thought it was aging, but the labs and MRI told the real story. His kidney function had declined significantly. His electrolytes were out of balance. Blood flow to his brain had dropped. It was a quiet, dangerous spiral. Weakened kidneys, more sodium retention, unstable blood pressure, reduced brain perfusion, memory slowly fading. Walter didn't have a stroke, but he was drifting dangerously close. When I sat by his bedside and explained what we found, he paused for a long moment, then quietly said, "I just wanted to feel better. I didn't want to rely on more pills." And I understood. So many of you feel the same. You want a natural path to better health, to avoid medications, to stay independent. But baking soda is not a miracle remedy. It's a powerful salt compound, and aging kidneys are not equipped to filter it daily. If you've recently noticed swollen legs, long-lasting fatigue, blood pressure swings, or fading memory, that may be your kidneys sighing in exhaustion, and your body quietly crying for help. One of the most unsettling things in medicine isn't pain. It's not visible wounds. It's the silent interactions, the invisible chemical collisions inside the body that no one warns you about, but that can unravel an entire treatment plan that took years to build. And baking soda, though not technically a drug, is one of those quiet disruptors. Think of your stomach as a waiting room where medications are released and prepared for action. Each drug needs a specific environment to be absorbed properly. Some require strong acid. Some need a neutral setting. Some should never be diluted too much. When you drink baking soda, you're not just calming heartburn. You're changing the entire pH of your stomach. And that seemingly small shift can cause your medications to absorb too little or too much, too fast, throwing everything out of balance. I once treated a patient named Marlene Douglas, 76 years old, a gentle, thoughtful woman who followed her treatment plan faithfully. She had high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and was taking low-dose aspirin to prevent stroke. One morning, she fainted in her kitchen. She hit her head hard on the sink. When she arrived at the hospital, she was confused, dizzy, and her heart rate was erratic. Her lab results showed unstable blood sugar, fluctuating blood pressure, dangerously thin blood. The cause, something no one had thought to ask about. She had been drinking water mixed with baking soda every morning for 2 months just to reduce stomach acid. As her neighbor suggested, that habit caused her blood pressure medication lisinopril to absorb unpredictably, her aspirin to overperform, thinning her blood too much, her diabetes meds to act erratically, dropping her blood sugar unexpectedly. One simple glass of clear water each morning had quietly derailed an entire treatment plan that had been running smoothly. As she lay in her hospital bed, she whispered, "I wish I'd known. If you're on any kind of medication, especially for blood pressure, heart health, diabetes, or blood thinning, please pause for a moment before adding anything natural to your daily routine. Because not everything without a warning label is harmless, and sometimes a gentle remedy may be the very last drop that makes the system overflow. If it's natural, it must be good. I don't take medicine. I only use what's already in my kitchen. My mother used this for years. Never had a problem." I hear these words every single day, and I get it. At a certain age, you start questioning medications. You're tired of long prescriptions, tiny warning labels, and instructions that feel overwhelming. So you look for something simpler, something familiar, something you trust to be safe because it's natural. Baking soda is one of those things. It sits quietly in the kitchen cabinet right next to the sugar and the seasoning packets. No strange smell, no bold warnings. It's used in baking, in whitening teeth, in deodorizing shoes. And now, it's all over the internet, promoted as a natural miracle cure. And that's exactly why so many people get it wrong. I'll never forget Mr. Franklin Ellis, 81 years old, a former mechanic living alone in Indiana. He didn't like medicine. He believed in living green plant-based diet, essential oils, a glass of baking soda water every night to cleanse the body. He looked at me with quiet pride and said, "I live naturally. I don't need pills like the younger folks." But what we found in his tests was far from natural. Unstable blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, atrial fibrillation, which increases stroke risk 5-fold, abnormal sodium and pH levels in his blood. He hadn't had a stroke, not yet, but the dizzy spells, the tired heart, the blurred vision, they were enough to make him fall. And now he can no longer drive. He no longer lives alone. And every morning he depends on his daughter to remind him when to take his medications. The price he paid didn't come from recklessness. It came from one powerful belief that natural means harmless. But in medicine, many of the world's most toxic substances are natural. Mushroom poison, the belladonna plant, even lightning, all natural. But natural does not mean safe for the human body, especially not for aging bodies with slower kidneys, thinner margins, and more fragile systems. So if someone ever tells you, go ahead, it's natural, take a moment to ask yourself, it may be natural, but is it really right for me today? After everything you've just heard, you might be wondering, so, should I stop using baking soda completely? Or maybe, if it's so dangerous, why do people still use it? The truth isn't about banning it altogether. It's about knowing when it should be used and when it absolutely shouldn't. Baking soda, in itself, is not the villain. It has a rightful place in medicine, used in emergency cases like metabolic acidosis, certain poisonings, or occasionally, under medical supervision, to reduce excess stomach acid. But that's when it's monitored, dosed, and time-limited. The problem lies in how we use it, daily, unconsciously, without guidance, and without asking, especially when we're over 60, when kidneys are weaker, the heart is less stable, and the brain is no longer as forgiving as it once was. If you're truly struggling with digestive discomfort like bloating or heartburn, baking soda is not a long-term solution. Instead, start with small changes. Eat slowly, chew thoroughly, break meals into smaller portions, avoid eating right before bed, add natural acid-soothing foods like ripe bananas, oatmeal, fresh turmeric, and if you still want to use baking soda, don't decide alone. Ask your doctor. Even a short consultation could save you from a month in the hospital. Dear friend, if you've made it this far with me, thank you. It means you truly care about your health, and you deserve to know the truth. Aging doesn't mean living in fear, but it also doesn't mean you can keep doing everything the way you always have. What you need now isn't more pills or internet tricks. What you need is clarity, self-awareness, and a trusted voice walking beside you. So choose what truly nourishes you, your body, yes, but also your peace of mind. And next time, before you stir that teaspoon of natural into your bedtime drink, pause just for a few seconds and ask yourself, is this really right for me today?